Rant ramble. Um, I don't have to call it yet, so we see. But yeah, just thinking. We we know how to attract people to us. The type of people that we want, not necessarily need, but want. We know how to attract them. The problem is keeping them. And this is another kind of a core type issue because it's a symptom, but it could be a core thing too, dependent. Because truth, being who you are, is more than that. But let's just start from there. Let's just have that be the thing. Being truthful to who you are, being loving. Those are two different things, but it isn't. But it is. Being loving and being truthful to who you are. That's how you keep people. That's how you do it. And so through that, it becomes core because you have to be truthful and you have to be loving. You're truthful when you're loving. So it's love. It always comes back to love. Starts box was what 15. It always goes back to love. So this is a hop, skip, and a jump away from a core issue, but yeah, it's still a symptom. Keeping people. There's books on the art of seduction, and you know all these things. And the funny thing is, this book's about how to please your man, how to please your woman, and all this stuff. But that's not anything because people do those things, and the people who they would still leave them. Now, all things being equal, right? Good people, people who, but then it don't work that way. That's the whole thing, because you're doing these things that kind of outside of yourself. You all those things in those books basically boils down to doing something out of love for someone else. Because not in of themselves. Because when you truly love someone, you automatically do things that they would like. It's not a formula. It's not, do this, that, this, and they'll stay. It depends on the person. Everyone have personal baggage. Everyone have issues. Everyone have complexes. Everyone have fetishes. Everyone have stuff. So it can't just be a formulaic thing. It has to come from love. And if it starts from there, it'll just automatically do what it does. That's box 14. You know, people get involved with many people over the course of their lives, 20, 30 people, right? But they never stick with anyone, and sometimes they want to stick with them, but it just doesn't work out, and they wonder why. You know, they do what the book says, and people still live. You have to be loving, which will lead to truth, which will lead to happiness. We need to keep people, because you could dress a certain way and talk a certain way and have certain things in your possession, or at least have the facade of it, and you'll attract people. That is kind of a principle of things. People are attracted to success, or they're attracted to like the underdog, which is an inversion of that same thing, concept of success. So do we really want to keep the people that we attract? That's another fundamental question we need to ask ourselves sometimes. Because some people have the thought of, this person was good for this period of time in my life. And, okay, right? But, I don't know. See, I'm weird when it comes to that. Because you have like a friend that you have like that, or a queen, something like that, cool. But someone who you intimate with like that, I don't know if you just should be just like breezing through that. You kind of leave bits and pieces of yourself in other people. You can't get it back. You know, it's not as cut and dry as I just made it out to be, but a separate thing. Another thing that's for why I remember it. People who are special to us. Why are they special to us? Or because we went through this together. You are inventing connections. P- People do this all the time. They go on trips together to cement the relationship. They put themselves in situations where you have to be together to get out of it. But you contrive it. It's contrived. Or it's just something where both y'all self-centered and want to get out of the situation, and you need the other person to get out of it. So it gives you this false sense of connection. That's dangerous and poisonous too. That's another reason why we can't keep the people we are, because one, we're not supposed to be with them in the first place, and two, even if that's so, you could work to get to a point where you are. It's just really resonance, echoing off of each other in the right frequency. That's all it is. So you could evolve to the point where y'all could be good for each other. That's not a problem. So if the problem is you're not supposed to be together, it's actually you're not supposed to be together right now. People could change. That's the beauty of humanity. But it's more a case of false connections, and then using that as an example of, this is why we should be together when y'all really shouldn't be. The thing about a relationship is it's two people involved and it's symbiosis. The difference between a symbiotic and parasitic relationship is just who benefits. If both people benefit, it's symbiotic. If one gets more out of it, it's parasitic. It's as simple as that. A lot of people in parasitic relationships, but they trick themselves through these false connections and stuff to thinking that it's symbiotic when it's not. It's not. I'm a good example of this. I've been in many parasitic relationships where I've been like, I guess, the host or whatever, and people have been leeching off of me. And I convinced myself, no, it's symbiotic. We both, but we don't. It's one-sided. It's unbalanced. I think that's one of my thought boxes. I can't remember which one it was. I had this whole thing about chaos and fear and nature and stuff. I think now I think about what it is it's unbalanced, right? If something weighs more than something else, you have to add more weight to another side. It's not scales can't really work in this example. There's not really a scale because it's never gonna be real equilibrium. It's always a state of flux. But you have to unbalance something somewhere else. You have to overburden something somewhere else to get a balance. It's a check more than a balance. It's more check than balance. You use these things to prevent stuff, and I think that's what it was getting me. Because it's balanced, but that don't mean it's fair. It just means you're doing something equally as bad to balance out something that happened. Stuff, man. I mean, it's so many trap doors. And so many people like get hurt in relationships, and then see that's the thing. So all this stuff I've been talking about, right? And then things fall apart and they hurt because they invest themselves foolishly. Because they invest in something that's not real, something that is like a fabrication, in the truest sense of the word. You conjure this thing up and thinking it exists. No. It takes four hands to make a relationship. And so they hurt, and then now when they move on to the next person, now they take that hurt with them. And I talked about this before. Like, it's either going to be the next relationship in tandem with just themselves and self-improvement, self-growth, evolution, will either change that negative thing from the last thing that they had into a positive for themselves, for the other people around them, everyone connected, and so forth and so on, or it compounds it, makes it worse, makes it stronger. You know, you feed the beast. People give up on things way too fast, man. This is the other side of it. When things are unbalanced, when things aren't the best, when people falling down on certain things, you have to be really honest with yourself. That's the thing. The first part of being in a relationship is being like a fully functioning human being, and that's why when people say you need to, a relationship can't complete you, I agree with that on that level. Because I said somewhere else before that I don't agree with that really, but it's levels to things. On that level, yeah, because you need to be, healthy in and of yourself before you could contribute yourself to a relationship. It's a symbiotic relationship. If you have a disease and someone like in a symbiotic relationship with you, they get the disease. They become a part of your body, and they get it too. So you need to be healthy for the relationship, for the new entity that both of y'all will become, to be healthy. You know. But at the same time, people do complete us. All the little gaps that we have. And it's just a fundamental need for us to share things. You can't have that by yourself, so of course it's a completion. So it's both those things and neither of them. That's what's so tricky about it. It's like the atomic and subatomic thing. Nothing's solid, but everything is. Once you could reconcile yourself with that, then now you could move. Now you could live. Now, and not only live for yourself, not only live for your partner, but live for mankind. Everything is connected. Everything feeds each other. Whether it's symbiotic or parasitic depends on you. Not on other people. Not on other people. On you. You have to take responsibility for yourself, because that's the only thing you could really take responsibility for. You can't even take responsibility for your partner. Even though y'all one entity, y'all still made up of two parts. If you take care of yourself on that level, in that meaning of that expression, that's a start. That's a start. That's how it starts. You can't wait for other people to get right. You get right. They see in you something that they lack, and they want it. That's how it spreads. And not even that. Once again, not even that, but that's one way to look at it. One way to use the words we have available to say and express that thought. This is almost thought box territory. It almost is, but it isn't. It isn't. It's just a ramble on kind of the nature of relationships. It's a fundamental thing. It's really fundamental. A lot of the things that make us who we are is our interaction with people on every level, but especially on a romantic whatever relationship level, especially there. Like me, I struggle with bitterness and despair and all this stuff from being single basically my entire life. That's my struggle. And I guess that's why I so like up on this relationship thing. Why I always talking about it. Because it's what I think about a lot of the times. You know, and I also like analyze why the I guess the egg of relationships that I had, because it wasn't fully formed at all. It's just had the potential to be, but didn't quite work. So the egg of it, the caterpillar of it, you know, I had that and it fell apart, and I tried to figure out why it did. You know, you really have to be truthful with yourself. You really do, because like most of the things we think other people are responsible for, they're not. People are gonna do what they do, and realizing that everyone hurting, everyone going through stuff. You don't take things at face value. It's like, oh, they just cruel for no reason. No, this is why they. This is the thought process that led them to this action. When you start thinking that way, you understand where they're coming from, so you can take it on that level. You deal with the issues they have, not with them. That's what your fight should be against. Against mindsets, thought processes. That that's the thing. That's what the fight is. Not flesh and blood. That's why I could be as circumspect and objective on a certain level as I am, because I look at it this way. You know, what why did they do this? That's the first question I ask. Why did they do this? From there, you could get to a place of harmony. That's where harmony comes from. You can't. You have to know the notes in the chord to have notes of your own that harmonizes with that. You have to know where they're coming from. It's not just it's a sound. Of course, it's a sound. Yes, it's a sound. But what makes up the sound? What makes up the sound? Stuff, man. Stuff that we really need to get, because we'll be happier, and everyone around us will be happier too. We'll live abundant lives, and people will benefit from just being around us because they could be in the area of effect. It overflows onto them. It's beautiful when it does what it's supposed to. When we don't get in the way of the process, it's beautiful. It's not necessarily formulaic. I mean, you can create a formula to express. It's like words. You can create a formula to express the process, but the process is what it is. It's a thought. The formula is the words that we use to express it. Later.